Welcome everyone. I am Sarah Snell Cooke, your host here at the Credit Connection. So I have a pop quiz for you. How much does it cost an international student to wire tuition money from home to their U.S. university? If you said way too much, you're right. Traditional wire transfers can eat up hard-earned money in fees and terrible exchange rates. Today, I am talking with Jensen Kunrad and Simmyi, co-founders of Krebbit, yes, with a B. They've taken a sabbatical from MIT and Stanford, respectively, to build a stablecoin-powered foreign exchange platform to help international students paying tuition to the U.S. schools. It also has many other practical applications. So we're talking USD dollar stablecoins, QR code payments, full know your customer and anti-money laundering compliance. Over $1 million in tuition has already been processed in this way, with thousands saved in fees. This isn't some Wild West blockchain experiment. It's regulated, it's working, and credit unions are starting to partner with them. Jensen and Simmyi are going to explain how stablecoin can solve exchange rate problems, why international students and immigrants are an underserved gold mine for credit unions, and how you can offer this service without your compliance team having a meltdown. If you've been ignoring blockchain because it seemed too risky or too complicated, this might be the practical use case that actually makes sense. So let's dive in. Hello, welcome everybody. I am your host, Sarah Snell Cooke, here at the Credit Connection. I am joined today by two of the most eloquent people you will ever meet. Welcome, Simmyi. Welcome.
Hi everyone. I'm Simmyi.
And Jensen Kunrat.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Yeah, great to be seeing you guys again. So I want you to start out telling us a little bit about yourselves and the company itself, without getting too detailed, because we're going to get in a lot of detail later.
Yeah, amazing. I think I'll jump into it. I'm Jensen, co-founder, CEO, and CTO of Krebbit. And Krebbit really started, well, I guess I'll go back to I studied electrical engineering and computer science at MIT. I've been a software engineer for Amazon and NASA, and I really got into the credit union space through a type of coding competition called hackathons. These are a coding competition where they give you a problem, sometimes a credit union problem, and you work to build a solution to help solve it. I've done a ton of them all over the nation. I'm actually one of the top 50 hackers in the world, which is being really good at this type of competition out of over 600,000 people, which is pretty cool. And one of my projects was a secondary lending platform on the blockchain for credit unions. So I actually had the chance to fly out to Nikuzo to present there. And I really just fell in love with the credit union space and building technology to help solve problems they might be facing. And it's been so cool being able to really dive into continuing to build with credit unions. And then the problem Simi and I are actually solving, which we'll get more into soon, came from I do college counseling. So I help a lot of international students get into US universities. But a common issue they had once they were accepted is how they were going to convert funds to pay their tuition, rent, or other expenses. And I met Simi back in high school.
Yeah, so I'm Simmyi. I'm one of the co-founders of Krebbit. I studied computer science and design at Stanford. And basically with Krebbit, we are doing stablecoin powered foreign exchange. And we're helping international students convert their tuition payments with stablecoins so that they get the best rates, can save thousands of dollars, and get money really, really fast. Jensen and I, we met in high school. So we met at a Bank of America scholarship program. And then after that, did a Jane Street program together. And Jensen would visit Stanford really frequently to do hackathons, research projects. And this summer is when we started working on Krebbit. So, about in August, after the Genius Act passed on July 18th, is when we wanted to start working in the stablecoin space. We really saw a huge opportunity to like reinvent and reimagine cross-border payments and just help students, help our classmates save thousands of dollars on their tuition payments.
Yeah, it was so awesome. I saw you guys present and it was just amazing. My jaw dropped. I have a 20-year-old child and she is smart and eloquent, but nothing like you guys. Anyway, so tell us first, like what um what your goal, your dream goal, what happens with Krebbit when it goes viral?
That's definitely the dream. We really envision being able to work with lots and lots of college credit unions all over the nation to make it so their international students can seamlessly onboard. We support things like ITIN registration. We're actually like registered with the IRS to help them get an ITIN through their college credit union so they can easily get a credit card or start building their credit score. Make it so simple for them to send money from their home, like in Brazil or China, into the United States using their local paying method. So we can go a bit more into exactly how that works. But our dream is to make sending money as easy as sending a text message, just making it so students can so easily send money into the US, and also immigrants, businesses can easily send money back into other countries to pay their employees, to pay their families back home. Sending money should just be as easy as a text message.
Exactly. And with Krebbit, we really want to work with credit unions because they have such a strong community and strong member base. And we also learned that a lot of international students, they're banking with Bank of America, Chase, and they're not really banking with their university credit union. And kind of university credit unions are not able to, help their international student members. So with Krebbit, we are building the ultimate onboarding pipeline for for credit unions. So we help with ITIN registration, we help with foreign exchange, and with the ITIN registration, we actually help international students get their first credit card, open their first bank account in the US. So I'm going to share my screen and show the Krebbit website and how it works. Since starting Krebbit, we have processed over $1 million in tuition payments and saved students thousands of dollars. So here's the Krebbit site, and we're significantly cheaper than other options like Wise and Flywire that use traditional Swift transfers. Because we're using stablecoins, we are able to be 4 to 10% cheaper than, traditional transfer methods. Right here, are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, absolutely. To first go back a bit, just explain stablecoin, how that compares
Yeah,
to
for sure.
other types of coins, and how credit unions can use them safely to
Yes,
start.
so
Yeah.
stablecoins are truly an amazing innovation. I'm sure you've heard of cryptocurrencies before, like Bitcoin or Ethereum. And the issue is they're always going up and down in value. They're a very volatile asset. And what's really cool about stablecoins, especially USDC, which is what Krebbit uses, is this year something called the Genius Act passed. What this means is the US Department of Treasury ensures every single stablecoin of USDC on the blockchain is backed either directly by a US dollar in a treasury or a US Treasury bill. What this ensures is the USDC stablecoin will always be at a 1-to-1 rate with real US dollars. And what we do is something called a stablecoin sandwich. If I'm a user paying from Brazil, you actually can just scan a Pix QR code, which is Brazil's local payment method. It's like ACH in the United States. So they pay using their local payment rail. We accept the Brazilian reais, that's their currency, and use it to purchase USDC stablecoin on a blockchain exchange. Because we're doing this flow, we can actually get much better rates than our competitors. In fact, right now we have the cheapest Brazilian to USD rate on the market. So Simmyi is going to be sending 100,000 Brazilian reais to US dollars. So that's $18,920. And then you can easily go complete your payment. She's going to say that she's read and understood that we're moving funds on behalf of her. And then all it does is generate this super easy QR code that you can scan. And any Brazil bank app actually lets you automatically transfer through these QR codes. And we do this payment methods for the majority of countries we work with. I think like 80% of countries now have a QR payment method. And that's actually what the majority of people in these countries use. So Brazilians really are rarely using a debit or a credit card. Every restaurant, they scan this code. Same for, we integrate with other payment methods like Breeby in Colombia, Transferias 3.0 in Argentina, UPI in India, Alipay, WeChat Pay in China. And these are all these really great, innovative, near instant payment mechanisms that use this QR code. So really, we want to make these payments easier, so much easier than having to send a Swift transfer, and also much, much faster. Within 10 seconds, we receive their Brazilian reais when they scan this QR code. We usually have to purchase USDC, sell it for US dollars, and do a domestic ACH or wire into their US credit union or bank account. And what's so great about this is firstly, super fast. Within 10 seconds, the funds are sent there and it's just waiting for the credit union or bank to accept the transfer. And also, the user never has to work with stablecoins directly. We've done thousands of user interviews, and students don't want to have to learn how stablecoins work. No one wants to hold USDC directly. They just want the benefits of this new technology. And the benefits we're giving is super fast, cheap, and incredibly easy foreign exchange. We also do have substantial KYC, AML compliance because of these types of transfers. We have the same type of compliance you would need for other traditional transfers as well, just proof of funds, checking for politically exposed persons, checking against sanctions lists like OFAC to ensure all of our flows are completely compliant.
But in terms of credit stream, what we really want to do is become the go-to infrastructure for all cross-border payments, whether that be international students, whether that be helping new immigrants send money back home, whether that be businesses trying to, purchase goods in different countries and trade it with different countries. And what's really, really exciting is that we recently got a government partnership with Senegal. So we're working with Senegal's central bank because they currently don't have any efficient digital way of doing their foreign exchange. And with Krebbit, we are building out the stablecoin on-ramp infrastructure in Senegal so that we can help, their businesses, to help businesses and help their citizens with their foreign exchange, which is really exciting because, once we pilot that and do that, our vision is really to expand to all of West Africa and all of Africa, Latin America, and really build out that native infrastructure.
Yeah, what we've seen is really cool is, most platforms focus on sending money outside the United States, which, it makes sense. There is larger flows there and we do it as well at amazing rates. But we're also really focused on building the infrastructure to send funds into the United States. Like right now, we are pretty much the only online way to send funds from Mexico into the United States. So a lot more students have been using us from Mexico because otherwise they have to go in person to a broker in their country and carry physical cash into the US or use super expensive Swift transfers through something like Flywire where they're paying an extra 10%. So we've seen such great adoption from students because there's very few options to be able to send funds digitally from countries into the US using local payment methods. We also have seen more and more people sending money back home through us as well.
Mm. And it makes so much sense that especially, like you said, the younger people, the immigrants who are new to the country or coming into the country, that level of foreign exchange is ridiculously expensive, or to send a wire is ridiculously expensive. And so why is it so much cheaper using the blockchain?
Yes, so it depends on the country. In LATAM, Africa, and Middle Eastern countries especially, firstly, they struggle with liquidity. If I'm from Argentina and I want to send funds to the US to pay my tuition, most providers limit me to the equivalent of 1,500 US dollars approximately. The reason for this is each individual bank in Argentina just doesn't have enough of both currencies to do larger transfers. They don't have enough liquidity. What's great about these blockchain exchanges with us holding USDC and doing from Argentina's currency to USDC is these blockchain providers have a far larger liquidity pool. In fact, I think we can send the equivalent of 5 million US dollars from Argentina to the US, of course, with the proper compliance and paperwork. But we have the liquidity to do these substantially larger transactions than currently exist on the market. So, firstly, ease of access and doing these exchanges. Like, even our competitors like Flywire don't support the majority of LATAM or African countries because they don't have the same liquidity networks that we do. And secondly, it's also depends on the country. Different banking systems, they charge more and more upcharges. The less efficient the banking, the more these upcharges are going to be. And often, if you're doing especially a Swift transfer, it actually bounces through several intermediaries who are all adding their own fees. Here, it's just us using that exchange to automatically do these conversions for users. We compare across exchanges to get them the best rates, cover things like gas fees, which are the base fee to do transactions on the blockchain. So users don't need that technical knowledge and can still get these same savings from having just this transparent foreign exchange rate without all these huge upcharges from going through so many banking intermediaries. And there is some regions where it might be cheaper based on tax structure to do traditional transfers. So we support that as well for different countries that have tax regimes that make more sense to do normal transfers.
Yeah, and who knows, student tuition may be $5 million before long.
Yeah, at this rate.
That's funny.
And so, like, what about security? Like, I know that's a big thing that Cranes are concerned about. Can you address that?
Of course, yeah. So recently, what's so exciting is that I was at the Finovate conference, and at Finovate, I met Jim McCarthy. He has over 20 years of banking experience, and he actually led risk and compliance at several different banks and credit unions over the years. And he's been helping us put together our compliance and risk program. So right now with Krebbit, we do all the industry standard KYC, AML, BSA program. We run that. We are currently using SumSub and Alloy to run that program, but we're very flexible. Actually, right now we are at Michigan State University Federal Credit Union. We are part of their Conquer Accelerator, and we're discussing, potential integrations and how that would work. And with Krebbit, we're very flexible. We do all the standard world check, PEP screening. We have our KYC, KYB, AML, identity verification checks as well. And also, in addition to that, if a credit union is already doing all of these checks on their international students or immigrant members, then we can also work on a reliance model where we kind of share these
Mhm.
documents as well.
And how's the fraud on using like the distributed ledger technology different from like your traditional ACH or wire transfer?
Yeah, so what a lot of people don't consider is that it's actually very, very similar with the flow we're using, at least because we partner with banks in each of these countries. So, the Central Bank of Brazil, banks in Mexico, banks in Nigeria, Philippines. So we're actually partnered with the same banks that they might be using to try to send these SWIFT transfers. And we actually have to do very similar compliance paperwork to submit to
Hmm.
the government so they know of these transfers. And in the US, because we're off-ramping with a US domestic ACH or wire transfer, we do pretty much the exact same paperwork and compliance checks
Hmm.
as a traditional SWIFT transfer. So it's actually just as safe and really just a faster, more efficient system that we're very excited to be able to start bringing to people.
And all right, so Jensen, as a real person, not as a credit person, but just a human being, what do you think of your credit union?
Yeah, I used my own local credit union, Earth Mover, and I gotta say, they've been really great. Like, I actually joined because they had a scholarship program to support the local community. So I joined, I created my account, I applied with an essay about plastic waste to the scholarship program, and it really helped me, being able to afford college. I really love the way it gives back to our community at different events. It even has a branch at one of our local high schools to make it really easy for students to open accounts and start using their credit union. The only thing I wish they had was more high yield savings accounts. I think I'm getting 0.3% APY, which is really, it's hard for me to want to keep my deposits there with that low of a rate. So, I'm being drawn more toward other products. But, like right now at Michigan State University Federal Credit Union, I'm tempted to open an account because they have such cool savings programs. They actually have an account here where if you put in, it's a savings account. They really want to encourage students to start investing. So if you have anything under $1,000, it gives you 5% APY,
Mhm.
which is just such a cool program to get you started. And they also have a lot of different investment tools here. And even like you can pay with your card and it automatically rounds up to pay off student loans. Such cool programs for students. I wish my credit union would adopt more fintech innovations.
How about
For
you, Simi?
Yeah, I was thinking, so what I found really novel when I came to Michigan State University Federal Credit Union was that they had a FaceTime customer support. And for me, when I'm using my mobile banking apps, sometimes I get frustrated calling customer support or talking to a chatbot. And for me, I would really appreciate it being able to FaceTime someone like a real human and being able to like kind of show my screen, show me my banking app so that I could properly know how to navigate the app because sometimes it
Mhm.
is a little bit tricky to navigate these different apps. So I found that really cool, and I think most more credit unions and more banks and more apps, fintechs should have a FaceTime customer support service because that
Yeah,
honestly, seeing that it made me realize that Michigan State University Federal Credit Union really cares about their members and really wants to be there for their members.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they even have video calling on the ATM. So like you're in an ATM, if you have a question, you can hit a button, a face will pop up and talk to you.
Nice. Okay, so I always allow my guests final thoughts as we wrap up these interviews. Why don't we start with Simi? What are your final thoughts you want to leave our credit union audience with?
Yeah, I feel like we are living in a really, really exciting time. That's why, Jensen and I, when the Genius Act passed and all of this innovation happening in the stablecoin space, we got really excited and we're taking a temporarily leave of absence from university to work on Krebbit because we saw that this is going to be a really huge opportunity to just completely revolutionize the way we do international payments with stablecoins. We are going to see in just a couple of years, we're right now at the very cusp of the stablecoin revolution. And I'm really excited over the next couple of years how this is going to play out and how Krebbit is going to be leading that revolution with the stablecoin innovation.
And Jensen, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is credit unions have to be ready to embrace innovation. For example, it started with just giving physical checks to people, physical cash transfers. But the credit unions that were willing to take that leap and start doing debit and credit card issuing were able to continue to retain members and grow. Same with digital banking from the phone. Credit unions were scared. What if there's security issues involved? What's going to happen when people start going from the phone? But the ones who took that leap, they were able to secure these systems, have very great compliance, and make it so more and more members were able to access their services. Even, for example, actually onboarding, like with that video, like we talked about with Michigan State University Federal Credit Union, COVID caused a lot of credit unions to take a huge technology leap because they had to. It was by necessity to be able to onboard by video call, to be able to start accessing even more of these features. And I really think it's going to be the same thing with stablecoins. Credit unions, they need to be ahead of this technology. They need to embrace this innovation. And that's exactly what we want to enable with Krebbit. We're building these completely compliant credit union first systems to make it as easy as possible for credit unions to give these benefits directly to their members. Members don't want to learn exactly like stablecoins, what they are. They want to just get the benefits. For us, that's faster, cheaper transfers into and out of the United States, making it incredibly easy for members to move their funds. And we're really excited to be helping credit unions embrace this change.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate it,
Thank you.
Simmyi and Jensen.
Thank you.